Thank you for joining me today at Tantrum House Studio 3. I'm Sara Meadows. Today we'll be walking through how to play the game, The World Game. The World Game is a competitive geography game for 2 to 5 players, and it plays in about 40 minutes and is published by SweetTips. SweetTips sponsored this How to Play video. I will be explaining how to play the game with 3 to 5 players, and will make sure to point out the one rule change for a 2-player game a bit later in the walkthrough. In the World Game, you will be racing around the map, visiting all the continents, trying to employ your knowledge of world geography in order to be the first player to make it across the finish line. Let's set up the game. To begin, place all of the player pawns on the home space. Shuffle the deck of 194 country cards and place them nearby. Feel free to split the deck to make it easy to reach for higher player counts. Next, everyone will decide how they will handle the challenges in the game, which I will explain in just a moment. Finally, shuffle the action deck, and then you're ready to begin. Each turn in the game will be taken in the same way, with each player drawing a new country card from the deck. The youngest player goes first, rolls a die, and then must decide to either pick a fact or ask for a challenge. If they choose fact, they will select one of the 5 facts shown on their country card that they believe has the highest value compared with all the other players' cards. When selecting facts, players may choose between area, population, GDP per capita, highest point, or the number of neighboring countries. So in this example, Lincoln has chosen the population fact shown on his card for Thailand. All of the players now compare their country's population. Thailand's population is 66.5 million, which is higher than Liam's Ireland card, which shows 4.9 million, and Sarah's Kenya card of 47.6 million. So Lincoln wins and gets to move his pawn the number of spaces that he rolled on the die. After Lincoln has moved his pawn, all the players will discard their country cards and will draw a new one for the next player's turn. When compared, if a player's chosen fact is not the highest, then the opposing player who did have the highest fact gets to move his or her pawn the amount showed on the die instead. On your turn, you may complete a challenge question instead of picking a fact. There are 4 types of challenges in the game: the continent challenge, the flag challenge, the location challenge, and the capital city challenge. Before the game begins, players will decide which challenges to use in the game. Different challenges may be selected for different players in the game to better balance skill sets and knowledge. For example, having a younger player simply complete the continent challenge while requiring the adult players to perform the capital city challenge may help balance the game. On their turn, when somebody chooses to complete a challenge, instead of comparing facts with everyone, the player to their left will present the challenge. For the continent challenge, the player to their left will read the country shown on the card, and the player must correctly identify which continent that country is located in. The cards have a matching colored circle with a number to help you find it on the map. If you identify it correctly, you move your pawn based on the die roll like before. If you fail to complete your challenge, your turn is over and that next player in line gets a chance to attempt that same answer. If nobody at the table guesses correctly, the player who presented the challenge for their country's card will get to move forward on the board. The flag challenge is performed by covering up the top facts on the card and showing just the flag to the player who must guess it correctly. During a location challenge, the player must point out the country on the map or say the number of the country that the challenge player read from their card. And for the capital city challenge, the city must be named correctly from the opponent's country card.
Alright, what's the capital of Norway?
Oslo.
Oh, nicely done.
Once again, when the turn is over, all players discard their cards and draw a new one before the next player begins their turn by rolling the die. After winning a fact or challenge, when you move your pawn over the spaces around the edge of the board, each island you land on will feature landmarks from a specific continent. Every time you reach a new continent that has a different colored space, you get to draw an action card. These cards may be used one time, but at any point in the game. Some of these cards require an opponent to complete an additional challenge or may force them to select a different fact from their country card. Some cards, like the tsunami, make opponents move backwards on the map. There are 3 island spaces that show a 2x mark, which allows your pawn to move twice the amount shown on your die. But it could also send a player backwards twice the amount with a tsunami card. Once you reach Antarctica, you must stop no matter what your die roll is. To leave Antarctica, you must complete a challenge question or an opponent's challenge question. During a 2-player game, if the player does not have the highest fact that they selected, or if they do not complete their challenge, it is simply the next player's turn instead of allowing the other player to try and win. If the draw deck is ever depleted, simply shuffle the deck to continue playing. And the player that first reaches and crosses the finish line wins. Thank you so much for watching this how to play video of the World Game from SweetTips.